So what's good, TMG fam? Listen, now the other day we were talking about flooding. We were talking about the coastlines and the potential of it flooding more over the next several years, right? Causing people to kind of push more inland, right? And what did I bring up? Yellowstone. What did I say? That I get pushing inland, but Yellowstone makes me nervous. It's just it to me it could just pop at any moment. And I feel like it could reach the coast anyway. You know what I mean? So that brings me to this video today that we're going to check out. Yellowstone National Park officials just detected a huge sudden uplift inside the volcano system. So if you're new, you know what to do. Hit that subscribe button and join the fam. Let's check this out.
If there's one single event that could single-handedly wipe out humans, it's that of the Yellowstone supervolcano.
Yep.
Yellowstone National Park is home to some of the most breathtaking views. According to the National Park Service, Yellowstone National Park is the second most visited national park in the United States, with the first being the Great Smoky Mountains. Last year, approximately 3.8 million visitors went to the park,
Too many.
with that number being much lower than the previous year. However, this is thought to be because of everything that's been happening recently.
Exactly.
There's one attraction at the park though that brings in many visitors.
Look at that. Huh? Is that like a bridge? No, I'm not getting on that bridge, bro. Do you see that bridge? No, and you can't even convince me. Oh, it's sturdy. Oh man, it's safe. It is so safe, man. People walk. Do you? Not from this aerial view. It don't look safe. No, thank you.
And this is the supervolcano that lurks beneath the park. It's arguably the most famous supervolcano, and the one that's received the most media attention, and for good reason. This supervolcano has had at least 3 very large eruptions, being 2.1 million years ago and 640,000 years ago, while the other one happened 3 million years ago, but was said to have been not as bad as the other two. The most recent news is that yesterday a surge of magma was detected coming into the Yellowstone system, mainly at Yellowstone Lake.
See?
UNAVCO.org, who are made up of scientists, educators and professionals, released a spectrogram which showed a surge of magma. The red shows the heat of the magma, with the blue surroundings showing the cooler areas. Something interesting to note is that the researchers pointed out that the region in which the magma flow was detected was also one of the regions that was hit by various earthquakes. Back in late 2020, Yellowstone officials said that 125 earthquakes had hit the region in less than 1 week, with scientists
No, can't breeze past by that real quick. 100 and something earthquakes in a week. Now, granted, they're not the high ones. What is it? High magnitude. What is the like 8 point something is pretty high. I think they're not those, but possibly, but still in all, that just don't seem good to me. What does that seem? Like it's building, right? It's building up to something big about to happen.
and 25 earthquakes had hit the region in less than 1 week, with scientists further saying that these earthquakes hit a region that's already weakened by years of magmatic activity.
See?
The earthquake tore through the region in most of September, with officials saying that they recorded 125 tremors, most of which were detected southeast of West Thumb in Yellowstone National Park. This has caused some to panic though, as it's thought the supervolcano could be due for an eruption, as the last time it erupted was over 640,000 years ago. Although some joked and said that the Yellowstone supervolcano erupting could be the final boss of 2021, the reality is if this supervolcano was to erupt it would cause irreversible damage. Recently, University of Utah's Robert Smith made an interesting discovery, saying that he noticed a change in the water levels at Yellowstone Lake. Whenever there's these types of changes, it's always important for further tests to be carried out. Geologist Dr. Robert Christensen then revealed the discovery during a documentary. He said the following: One of the most interesting additional pieces of data came along after the early fieldwork and the completion of the initial geologic studies. Bob Smith at the University of Utah was interested in seeing if we could look for signs of contemporary deformation in the Yellowstone caldera. He had recognized some of these indications, particularly in changes in lake levels of different parts of Yellowstone Lake, and because it's so large, he felt there were indications that the lake basin itself was being tilted. Because of this, the lake level was rising at one end of the lake and falling at the other end. End quote. Dr. Christensen explained how his colleagues made the discovery, going on to say the following. He was interested in seeing whether we could actually measure this by some direct means. So one of the things I did at the time was to get funding together to get the USGS Topography Division involved. We felt that with as much deformation as there appeared to be, that there should be measurable changes in elevations in the park. We finally got the funding together and got that survey done, and the data was provided to Bob Smith and his group, and they in turn integrated it into a series of elevation changes throughout the caldera. They demonstrated that the caldera over a 50-year period in time had come up around 2/3 of a meter. Either the magma was intruding the crust or it was heating the hydrothermal system, causing it to expand and elevate the crust. Something was going on.
Yeah,
End quote.
definitely.
Another interesting discovery was made back in 2019, when researchers said that a 465-mile-long piece of molten rock is rising directly underneath Yellowstone. Scientists had this to say: "We are closely monitoring a 465-mile-long piece of molten rock rising below the Yellowstone caldera. We have discovered that Yellowstone's magma chamber is slowly rising each year."
Be honest, how many of y'all, and I know some of y'all that's been rocking with me for a minute, know and are aware and up to date and were already aware before I even started looking into it. But how many of y'all that are new and are watching, this is all new to you? You had no idea about any of this going on. Yeah, I was once like that too, so don't feel bad at all.
Discovered that Yellowstone's magma chamber is slowly rising each year.
It's crazy.
The danger will be if the plumes start liquefying and moving up faster. Typically when these eruptions begin, they begin from a certain event, then they get larger as they move along the fracture system. The entire sequence that formed the last Yellowstone eruption may have taken as little as 2 weeks. End quote. Another thing to note is that it's not only Yellowstone where activity is picked up. Seismologists and volcanologists have noticed that the world's volcanic activity has dramatically increased in recent years. Volcanoes from all around the world are erupting faster and more frequently than ever. On top of this, earthquakes are also on the rise. So why is this happening? As of right now, researchers have said there isn't a concrete answer, and that more studies need to be carried out. Data has shown us that in the 20th century alone, there were over 3,500 volcanic eruptions. That works out as around 30 eruptions per year. Not only this, but earthquakes are also on the rise. In 2018 alone, there was over 14,000 earthquakes, and researchers and scientists have suggested that the world could be preparing for some kind of world-changing megatremor. If this does happen, it's
First time I've ever heard it call it a mega tremor. Mega. Pay attention. Listen. That's why I keep saying, man, the word due keeps coming up. Due. It's due. It's overdue. It's due. It just keeps coming up and presenting itself. So yeah, I'm paying attention, man. I'm full on alert with Yellowstone.
preparing for some kind of world-changing megatremor.
World-changing megatremor.
If this does happen, it's said it will have the power to split up continents. As you can imagine, when this news got released, people started to ask questions. One of them being, when is Yellowstone going to erupt next? Seismologists have said if there was an eruption at Yellowstone, there would be mass destruction. They also stated that this supervolcano will erupt again. However, the likelihood of the volcano erupting anytime soon is very slim. In fact, the US Geological Survey seismologists are among those monitoring the site, and said that locals in the region would have lots of warning before anything happened. In fact, it's thought we would have over a decade's notice before the volcano erupted.
A decade?
Yellowstone
That's the first
is the
time I
volcano
heard
that
that.
everyone focuses on because
That's the first time I've ever heard somebody say a decade's notice. I've never heard that. But where are we going? Well, we gonna crowd the East Coast and hope that the ash don't reach us? Hope that it don't get up in the atmosphere and change the climate? Plant life start to die? Then what do we do? Like, you know what I'm saying? So what is the course of action? What is the plan? All of us can't crowd the coast. It's crowded enough already.
it's one of the biggest, and would cause the most destruction. If it did erupt, the effects would be felt across the world. When you think of Yellowstone National Park, what usually comes to mind is incredible views, a massive supervolcano that would end civilization as we know it, and incredible wildlife that can be found throughout the area. The fact is though, these scenic locations are actually some of the most hostile on our planet, and every year inexperienced hikers wander into these locations never to be seen again, leaving family members and officials wondering what happened to them. This isn't always the case though, and even those that have mastered the outdoors sometimes underestimate what they're getting themselves into. Officials have said a man has passed away after encountering a grizzly bear, and this happened just outside of Yellowstone National Park. The county sheriff office said that when they arrived in the scene there was a moose carcass, and they theorized that the bear may have been protecting it, which caused it to attack. Charles Mock was an experienced guide, and was praised by many as being a good outdoorsman. Mr. Mock had various injuries across his face and body, and was unfortunately found by a search party 50 minutes after the ordeal. After he was found, he was quickly taken to the nearby hospital. The encounter happened when Mr. Hawk was fishing close to the Madison River, with officials saying that he came prepared and was even carrying bear spray, but they were unable to verify how much of it he used. County Sheriff's Office spokesperson Christine Kuzman said the following: "He lived in the Park Gateway community of West Yellowstone, and had been in the same area fishing for almost a week."
Wow.
End quote. It was noted that he was fishing around 40 meters from the moose carcass. Morgan Jacobson, the Montana Fish, Wildlife and Park spokesperson, said the following: "He was the only one who was there, and we were never able to talk to him." Only a day later, a group of workers went out to the site to investigate what had happened, and they said that a 420-pound grizzly bear tried to attack, although it was quickly taken out by one of the workers. It's reported that this is the same grizzly, and some even suggested that it may have been waiting because it knew that humans visited the area. The police said the following: "Now is the time to remember to be conscientious in the backcountry, as the bears are coming out of hibernation and looking for food sources. Bear attacks, although scary, are very unlikely to happen. Wildlife experts have said there's around 40 bear attacks around the world every year, and
That's 40 too many. One is too many.
of the individuals involved in these cases survived the ordeal. Most of these encounters happen by accident, and bears will actively try to avoid humans. To put it into perspective, it's estimated that dogs take out more humans than bears do."
Wow. See, when I was in the mountains in Gatlinburg, right, Tennessee, man, as soon as you go in like the cabin, they had all of these laminate little stickers on the wall with papers talking about these little postings talking about bears. And man, I read all of those things. You know what I mean? Which bear to do this to, and which bear you just gonna have to fight it. You know what I mean? You know, some bears you can make yourself big, make a lot of noise, and it may run off into the woods. Some bears, it ain't gonna do nothing to you. He's just gonna look at you and decide whether or not if he want to come get you. It's at his discretion at that point. You know what I'm saying? So read up and know. It's important to know, especially if you're gonna be out there doing that type of stuff. You know what I'm saying? You should be up on it. You know, everywhere we went, Queen had some bear mates and she kept it on her side.
Another thing that officials have said they need to look out for within Yellowstone is that of human behaviour. They said that in recent years people are putting themselves in harm's way, noting that one instance was when an individual tried to take a photograph of a bison, only for the animal to charge at the person and then launch them into the air.
It's over. It's
One
over.
of the most recent ones has angered many people. 3 tourists have been charged and sentenced for boiling 3 chickens in a hot spring. Morgan Wathin, a Yellowstone spokesperson, said the following: 2 Idahoans and a Utah man had 2 cooking pots in a remote part of the park, where they dipped a pair of whole raw chickens into one of the geyser basins. End quote. When the men stood in front of the judge, one of them said their intention was only to make dinner. As you can imagine, this didn't go down well with the judge, and all of the men who were aged in their 40s and 50s were given harsh sentences. All of them received fines that were over $1,000.
I bet.
They also spent a few days in jail, and have been banned from entering Yellowstone National Park. Park officials have said that this type of behaviour is not uncommon, and each year various people are jailed due to looting and hurting the park's wildlife. Those working at the park have said they've seen people wash their clothes in the hot springs, and have even had people throw money into them, treating them as a sort of wishing well. One official said the following though: "I wish people wouldn't do this, as such thoughtlessness actions can actually have long-term effects. For example, doing this can cause problems with vents." End quote. The national park statistics
Clog it up, build up that pressure, then what? Exactly.
have said that this year's violations have tripled,
Wow.
meaning that over 120 arrests have been made, which resulted
Leave it up to us to ruin things and mess things up, man. We just don't listen, man.
in many of these individuals being banned from the national park.
I bet.
This happened back in 2020, and they said that this year has been better due to what happened, although people have still been making violations. Although trying to cook chickens in a thermal spring may not sound like a big deal, officials have said it could have been a lot worse. They said that what many people don't understand is that the crust above the water is extremely thin, and there have been accounts of people falling into hot springs. In fact, this recently happened to one woman. After the woman fell, the national park was closed to visitors, and park officials have said she was there illegally. When she fell into the hot spring, she suffered various wounds. At the time, the national park had been shut down from visitors since the 24th of March, going on to say that she shouldn't have been there. The woman in question ignored the warnings and was found walking on the Wyoming side of the park.
That's bad.
At the time, she had not been identified, but she could be seen taking photographs close to Old Faithful. Despite falling in and injuring herself, the woman was able to pull herself out and drive around 50 miles. She was, however, stopped by a park ranger and airlifted to a burn center in eastern Idaho.
Like, lady,
Park officials
come
have
on
said
now.
that even though it's bad she was injured, she may face penalties for not following the rules. They said that everyone else has been doing a good job at staying away from the national park. Surveillance footage has also been released of an individual walking 2 dogs, and it's been suggested that this person then fell into a thermal spring. So what do you make of these recent announcements? Be sure to leave your questions and answers in the comment section below, and help us to grow this community while working to solve these unexplained mysteries. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more videos.
Leave it up to one bad apple to spoil a bunch and spoil it for everybody else. And make it potentially bad and dangerous for everybody else, man. Come on, bro. You clog up these vents, man, and no telling what type of reaction you may set off. Like, bro, just adhere to the rules, man. Come on. Especially at a place like this. Like, it's no in between. You mess around in here, bro, you can have some long-lasting effects to your life and to your health. Like, nah, I ain't playing around out there, no. No. For those of us who know better, continue to do better. You know what I mean? Shout outs to y'all. But like I said, man, Yellowstone is just one of those places I'm paying attention to. They saying it won't happen. It possibly won't happen in our lifetime. We don't know. But I always, you know what I mean? They always be like 99.9. That 0.1% I'm paying attention to. All right. I'm paying attention to that. So, but y'all get at me in the comment section, man, and let me know what you thought of this video and the information that you received in this video. All right. Stick around and stay tuned. Till next one, I'm gone. Peace.